A shepherd's job here is to know each of the sheep individually, to know what the mothers were, what the fathers were, what the grandparents were. So all of these sheep have a back history of breeding, and I know what they've bred as well. So we breed sons that we sell to tups out of them, sons that go to other flocks. So her brother went to Chapel Farm in Borrowdale. He was a very good tup. The old mother was one of the best ewes in the flock. 1,000 years worth of breeding gone into breeding these sheep to be ideally suited to this landscape. They can cope with longer, wetter, colder winters than any other sheep that I know of on earth. And there's other sheep can cope with very cold, dry weather, like you might get in the mountains of Poland. But these sheep are ideally suited to cope with 6 months of wet, cold weather, which would destroy most other sheep. And this, where we're stood now, looks quite wild today, but this is the good ground that they live on. They actually live 5 miles up into those fells, mountains, we call mountains fells here, and that's where they live, about 5 miles up there. So they've come to, this is although we're on a hillside, this is the best land they ever let them on. This is where they come to give birth to the lambs. And in 5 weeks' time, we'll go back up onto those mountains with the lambs at foot. And that process, that cycle of going back to the mountains, as far as we know, has been unbroken for at least 1,000 years, maybe 5,000 years since the first people came here. It's a remarkable bit of farming continuity and tradition. That's my pride and joy, that sheep. Never mind writing books and all that messing about. That took generations to achieve that sheep. When an old shepherd or shepherdess retires, if they haven't got a son or daughter, then because the sheep have to go back to the same place on the mountain, a younger shepherd takes over. So these sheep actually come from one of the top flocks that belonged to a shepherdess before me, a very good shepherdess called Jean Wilson that lives up there. And before her, it belonged to another shepherd called Arthur Weir. So for about a century, it's belonged to the 3 people, me and then Jean and then Arthur Weir. And everybody knows the good sheep because both of those shepherds before me had used very good bloodlines for that whole period. So, and that's both lucky because I inherited or took over a very good flock with good genetics, but it's also a responsibility because I have to keep that quality up and I have to hand them on to somebody else, either to my children or somebody else in the future, if such a thing happens. And this particular flock makes its money by selling breeding females to other flocks that want our genetics, and breeding males, these tups. They're super special. The best 10% of their sons will be very much I hope, very much in demand from other flocks who come and want to bring these genetics to our flock. And that's why I have to know every single one of these sheep and their pedigree and their genetic background, because other shepherds will come to me and they'll say they might want a daughter from that family, a son from that family. They might know you that I've taken to shows, or they might know a tup, a ram I sold in recent years to other people that's done very well, and they might say, I want one out of the same family. So literally knowing the family tree and the pedigree of every sheep in this field and retaining that information at all times is key to what I do. So I came out the other day and one of my best ewes had died for no apparent reason. It's just something that happens in nature, and it's incredibly difficult to keep a flock of sheep in good health and to improve them and to breed them well. So when you occasionally get it right and you breed something really good and you maybe win the shows or you do well at the sales and other shepherds admire them, you feel like you've really done something. It feels meaningful. So the sad truth is that wool is almost worthless. Some of the farms here burn the wool because the cost of transporting it to the collection centres more than what it's worth. To pay a man or a woman to shear the sheep, to clip the wool off, would cost you £1 or £1.15, and the wool, when you get it off the sheep, the entire fleece of one of these sheep in the summer is worth about 30p. So we literally do it just to keep them in good health and good welfare. Wool is a loss-making enterprise now, which is tragic because it's one of the world's great products and it makes amazing tweed, it makes amazing carpets. But hey, the world's changed. People wear plastic clothes. Do you want to see the dogs work? You've never seen them work yet, have you? What? Tell you what, just get ready. Hold up, dogs, fetch on! Come on! Hold up! Hold up! Hold up! Come on! Come on! Come on. Steady, Todd, steady. Come on. Whoops. Whoops. Sit, Todd, sit. 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 So them are border collie sheepdogs, the kind of sheepdogs we use around here. A good sheepdog's worth about as much as a good car these days, so because you can't farm here without them, you can't gather the mountains. Away. Sit. Sit, Tom. Sit. Let them go. Let them go. Sit. Sit. Meg, come on. Sit. Sit. Mike, dogs, Mike. Thank you very much. Plus down, Meg, bed. Bed. Quiet, dogs, quiet, sit down. Quiet, dogs, quiet. Sit down. Well done, you're doing a good job. Whoa, nice full tummy. We'll just give it. Wants a little squirt of this water and stuff just to keep it going. That's it. The truth is, farming is becoming dreadful. Farming is pushed to be a worse and worse thing. Instead of being about stewardship of the land, about looking after your acres that you have and your stock as well as possible, and doing things the way that my grandfather did them, I'm encouraged through a sort of cheap food, industrial food, supermarket model to produce things cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, to care only about efficiency, to not care about being a good steward of the land, to plant trees, to plant hedges, to keep the native breeds that live here well. I'm encouraged to do things that are stupid, to keep animals in ways that requires more antibiotics, more pesticides, more chemicals, and more oil. I don't like that. I don't think that's good. I don't think that's the future. I think we're going down a cul-de-sac, a blind alley. Good lamb that day. It's a cracker. I'm just sure this is how I was getting them full. That's full. Well. We're going to fill these up. So a little bit more milk. Yeah. He's quite old. She's struggling to have enough milk to fill them. So my job is to make sure they don't get hungry because they can die very quickly. So I'm going to give them a little bit of artificial milk just to help her. Whoa, lammy. Whoa, lamb. We're going to put some on your tummy. Because the lamb doesn't know how to drink out of a bottle. That's just a good way to get a little bit into it. I think the modern world gives us many great things. It gives us great medicine, great education, wonderful sort of creative things that people do. But I think people are increasingly aware that that things are lost as well. When you move to a city, you have a modern life, you work in an office block. That's great for some people, but for a lot of people, they're losing their connection to the soil and to the land and to animals and to things, simple, elemental things that matter to a great many people. And I wonder whether too much isn't lost, and I think maybe lots of other people are wondering that as well. So, and we tend, in books and in TV and on the radio and on the internet, you tend not to hear very much from rural people or people that have different values. So originally when I started to do Twitter and then I wrote my book, I wanted to try and tell the story of my father and my grandfather and people whose voices maybe aren't heard very much in the modern world. Can you jump up on that top bit and flick both of those switches on? So that newborn lamb's going to try and suckle. I'm going to get it hold, have a go. Ooh, lass. Ooh, lass. Ooh, lass. Ooh, lass. Ooh, lass. There you go, dude. Ooh, lass. Ooh, lass. Ooh, lass. You just want a little squirt of that, dude. There you go. Good lass.
Which one is it?
Actually, should we have taken the... How far will this stretch? I'll have it, thank you. So just because it's a cold and wet morning, this lamb's got a bit wet. And one of the ways we can help it to get dry and warm is just hanging up a heat lamp, just like you would in a sort of incubation unit in a hospital. My father read the book about a month before he died, and he didn't tell me anything. He teased me, he said it was a little bit soppy because I inscribed the book to him and told him that I loved and respected him. I asked my mum what he said about the book, and she said he cried a lot when he read it because it was about his life. He didn't tell me that part. And my sister said, what did he think about the book? And he said he was really surprised because he came out of it as a fucking legend. And that makes me laugh every time I think of it, because it sums up my relationship with my dad. He didn't think, I think until the end, he maybe didn't realise that I loved and respected him. And to me, the best thing about the book isn't the fact that it was a bestseller around the world, that they're making a movie out of it, that all sorts of amazing people have read it. The best thing for me is that it was a letter to my dad when he was dying, and it told him why I respected somebody that lived like he did. And he read that book, he got my letter, and so when he died, there was, when my father died, there was nothing else I could have said to my father. I said everything I wanted to say, and we were at peace with each other. And I think that's very special. Who gets to tell their father all the things that they think about them? You see how she stamps her foot? That's her being maternal. If you go closer, she'll try and dunce you because she's protecting her lamb. This is exactly what I want to see. The newborn lamb's has found the teat. She's encouraging it with her mouth by licking its back leg. She's encouraging it to suckle on the teat and to get the milk, because they need to get the new milk, the colostrum milk, within an hour of being born, really, because it carries all the energy and the antibodies that they need. That's the first lamb she's ever had. Well done. So those ewes in there, I've got 3 lambs in them. You see how big her belly is? So in the next couple of days she will have 3 lambs, and you can see her belly's swollen. And that one too, she has 3 in her. And these 2 are just in because they're very old, they need looking after. When my father found out he was going to die, we asked him what he wanted to do, thinking he might want to go on holiday, he might want to go to restaurants, he might want to do things he hadn't done much of. What did my dad do for the last 2 years of his life? He kept farming on the farm because there wasn't anything he wanted to do that he wasn't doing already. And when I saw that, you think, hang on, there's a guy that lives a good life. He doesn't need to be famous, he doesn't need to be rich. he just loves what he does, and I love what he did and what I do. And what more is there than that? Than to be able to get to the end of your life and think, that was okay, that was good.